Disclaimer: this story explores mature emotional themes and complex family dynamics. It does not contain any explicit material. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought a simple visit to my aunt's house could spiral into something so surreal, something that would upend my entire world in ways I never imagined. But there I was, caught in a moment so strange and unforgettable that when she recorded it and posted it online, everything changed forever. It all began on a lazy Sunday afternoon. The sun was warm but not too hot, casting long golden shadows over my aunt's sprawling backyard. Aunt Clara, an enigmatic woman in her mid-40s, with a sharp wit and a smile that could both soothe and unsettle, had invited me over to help her with some gardening. But Clara was never one for ordinary. She lived surrounded by curiosities, the most notable being a large, majestic lion she had rescued years ago, named Leo. Not a real lion, but a rare and enormous mechanical sculpture, crafted with such detail it could fool anyone from a distance. Clara was fiercely independent and unapologetically unconventional, the kind of woman who lived by her own rules and didn't mind making waves. Her house was a gallery of oddities, vintage cameras, exotic plants, a wall covered in black and white photos, and that lion, standing tall and proud, an almost regal presence in the middle of her garden. When I arrived, I expected a quiet afternoon of trimming hedges and sipping tea. Instead, Clara pulled me into an impromptu challenge. "Come on," she said with a mischievous glint in her eyes, "help me bring Leo to life." What she meant was a mystery at first. But as the afternoon unfolded, I found myself standing on a makeshift platform next to the lion, holding a remote Clara had made to control its subtle movements. It was part performance, part art, a delicate dance between human and machine, and she insisted I was the perfect partner. I was nervous, clumsy at first, but Clara's infectious enthusiasm made it impossible not to get caught up in the magic of the moment. Her laughter rang through the garden as we guided Leo's head to turn, his mechanical paws to shift ever so slightly. It was absurd, yes, but also strangely beautiful, a fleeting moment of connection in a world that often felt cold and impersonal. Then, out of nowhere, Clara pulled out her phone and began recording. I barely noticed at first, too caught up in the experience. But when I glanced over and saw the screen glowing with the words "Live," my heart skipped a beat. What was supposed to be our secret little game, our inside joke, suddenly became a public spectacle. The video captured every awkward smile, every hesitant gesture, the raw, unfiltered me dancing with her lion in the garden. And Clara? She posted it online without a second thought. That's when everything changed. Messages started flooding in, some curious, some confused, some downright mocking. Strangers and friends alike shared their opinions, but none of that mattered as much as the look on Clara's face the next day, a mix of defiance and something unreadable, almost vulnerable. What did she expect? Why did she do it? And more importantly, what did it mean for us, for the fragile, complicated bond we shared? This was no ordinary visit. It was the beginning of a story that would unravel secrets, test loyalties, and force me to confront feelings I didn't even know were there. And as the sun set behind the lion's mechanical mane, I realized one thing for sure: nothing would ever be the same again. After the video went live, our lives didn't just shift, they fractured. Aunt Clara and I had always shared a complicated relationship, one shaped by years of unspoken things. She was more than family, she was a force of nature who challenged me in ways no one else dared. Growing up, I admired her wild spirit but also resented her unpredictability. She never fit the mold of a typical aunt, and honestly, sometimes I felt like I was the one trying to keep up. That day with Leo, the mechanical lion, felt like a bridge between us, a rare moment of true connection amid years of distance. But the moment she posted the video, everything changed. I could feel the weight of thousands of eyes on me, even though most were strangers. The comments ranged from amused to judgmental, and each ping from my phone felt like a reminder that I had no control over the story now. Clara, for her part, seemed almost untouchable. She laughed off the backlash even as I caught brief flickers of something deeper in her eyes, maybe regret, maybe defiance. She thrived on chaos and unpredictability, but I wondered if beneath that fearless exterior she was just as scared as I was. Our conversations grew tense, layered with unsaid words. The lion in the garden stood silent and imposing, a symbol of the strange bond that tied us together and the distance it couldn't bridge. I found myself questioning what Clara really wanted. Was this a cry for attention, a way to break free, or something more? And what did I want from her, from us? The more I tried to understand, the more tangled the web became. The video was just the beginning of a story neither of us fully controlled, and the next move was anyone's guess. The days after the video went viral were a whirlwind of emotions I wasn't ready to face. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years reached out, some with awkward curiosity, others with thinly veiled judgment. Social media was a minefield, each notification a fresh wave of anxiety. But it wasn't just the external noise. I felt the tension simmering between Clara and me growing too, like a storm on the horizon neither of us could stop. Clara's carefree defiance started to crack when her phone began buzzing nonstop, strangers commenting on her eccentric behavior and, more importantly, on me. I caught her late one night scrolling through the comments, a rare shadow crossing her face. "Maybe I pushed this too far," she muttered, though when I looked up, the old fire was still there, burning just beneath. Meanwhile, there was Marcus, Clara's longtime neighbor and friend, a quiet man in his 50s who had always kept a watchful eye on the household. He approached me hesitantly one afternoon, his voice low with concern. "You know Clara's been through a lot," he said. "This lion, the video, it's her way of coping. But it's stirring up things she's tried to bury." His words unsettled me, hinting at a past I'd never dared to ask about. As the lion loomed in the background of our lives, it became a symbol not only of Clara's wild spirit but also of secrets clawing their way to the surface. Between the growing online scrutiny, the strained family ties, and Marcus's quiet warnings, I felt trapped in a narrative I wasn't sure I wanted to be part of. The real question was, how far would Clara go to protect her story? And where did that leave me, her reluctant partner in this strange dance? The air between Clara and me had grown thick with unspoken fears, the kind that settle heavy in your chest and leave you breathless. That evening, the garden where Leo, the mechanical lion, stood silent and still, felt less like a refuge and more like a battleground. Clara's usual bravado was gone, replaced by a raw vulnerability that caught me off guard. "I never meant for it to go this far," she whispered, eyes fixed on the lion's lifeless gaze. "I wanted to share something real, but now it feels like I've lost control." Her voice cracked, and suddenly the distance we'd built over years seemed to crumble in a single moment. I wanted to reach out, to say the words that could heal or destroy, but the weight of everything hung between us like a fragile thread. Just then, my phone buzzed again, a new message, but this time it wasn't from a stranger or a friend. It was from Marcus. "We need to talk. It's urgent." The urgency in his words sent a jolt through me, cutting through the haze of confusion. Clara noticed the message and tensed. "Whatever he's involved in, it's complicated," she said, avoiding my eyes. The secrets Marcus had hinted at weren't just old wounds, they were alive, threatening to unravel everything we thought we knew. I realized then that this wasn't just about a video or a viral moment. It was about the fragile ties of family, trust, and truth, threads stretched thin, ready to snap. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the lion's metal mane, I understood we were standing on the edge of something irreversible. The next move could either break us apart completely or finally bring the truth into the light. And with that thought, the silence shattered, the moment we could no longer pretend everything was okay. The night after Marcus's urgent message, I couldn't sleep. The tension from the day settled into a gnawing unease that refused to leave my chest. Clara's vulnerability had cracked the armor I'd known all my life, but Marcus's warning hinted at something far darker, something we hadn't even begun to confront. I knew I had to find out what Marcus meant before it was too late. I arranged to meet him the next morning at a small cafe on the edge of town, a neutral place where we could talk without interruptions. Marcus arrived early, his usual calm demeanor replaced by a tightness I hadn't seen before. He handed me a small envelope, his hands trembling slightly. Inside were old photographs, black and white images of Clara in her youth, but with faces I didn't recognize. One photo showed a young Clara standing next to a different mechanical lion, one that looked similar but far more worn and battered. Scribbled on the back of the photo was a date, over 20 years ago, and a name, Evelyn. "What is this?" I asked, heart pounding. Marcus sighed deeply. "Clara's past isn't what you think. Evelyn was her sister. But she disappeared, vanished without a trace. Clara's never talked about it." "The lion you saw today?" "It's a tribute to Evelyn, but there's more to the story." Confused, I pressed him for details, but Marcus hesitated. Then he leaned in, voice low. "Evelyn's disappearance was never solved, but some believe it wasn't an accident. Clara's family had enemies. People who wanted to silence Evelyn because she uncovered something dangerous. The mechanical lion was her idea, her way of keeping her spirit alive." Suddenly, everything clicked: the video, Clara's defiance, the strange mix of pride and fear I'd seen in her eyes. She wasn't just eccentric or reckless, she was carrying a legacy of pain and secrets. As I digested this revelation, my phone buzzed again. A new message, this time from an unknown number. The message was chilling: "Stop digging, or you'll end up like Evelyn." Fear clenched my gut. This was no longer just about a viral video. It was about a hidden past clawing its way into the present, threatening to destroy us all. I looked up at Marcus. "We need to protect Clara. And we need to find out who's behind this before it's too late." His nod was grim. "I've been watching. Someone's been following her, watching her every move. The lion, it's more than a sculpture. It's a symbol. And whoever wants it gone will stop at nothing." Back home, I confronted Clara with what I'd learned. At first, she refused to believe it, anger flashing in her eyes. But as the photos and messages piled up, her defenses crumbled. Tears streaked down her face as she admitted the truth she'd buried for decades. Evelyn's disappearance was a wound that never healed, one that shaped every choice she'd made, including the decision to share that strange moment with me and Leo, the lion. "This was never just a game," Clara whispered. "It was a message. A warning. And now, it's a threat." The stakes had risen beyond anything I could have imagined. Our story, once lighthearted and strange, had transformed into a dangerous game of secrets, family, and survival. And the real question was no longer whether we could keep the past buried, but whether we could face it, together. The night everything came to a head, the weight of years pressed on us like a storm ready to break. Clara and I stood in the garden, the mechanical lion looming between us like a silent witness. The messages, the threats, the shadows of Evelyn's past, they all converged in this moment. We knew the truth could no longer be hidden. Clara's voice trembled but held steady. Evelyn didn't just disappear, she fought back. She uncovered something that threatened powerful people. "I've been protecting her secret all these years, but I can't do it alone anymore." I reached for her hand, feeling the fragile strength beneath her fear. Together, we made a decision: to face the danger, expose the truth, and reclaim the legacy Evelyn left behind. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps shattered the silence. Marcus appeared, breathless and urgent. "They're coming," he warned. "We don't have much time." Heart pounding, we moved quickly, grabbing the evidence Clara had hidden: old letters, recordings, clues Evelyn left behind. Every second counted. As the night deepened, so did our resolve. Fear tangled with hope, but we knew we had each other. The lion, once just a strange mechanical sculpture, had become a symbol of resilience, a beacon for the truth. When dawn finally broke, the threats had not vanished, but neither had our courage. We had uncovered the story that had haunted Clara's family, and with it, a new beginning. But as I looked into Clara's eyes, I realized the journey was far from over. Some secrets refused to stay buried, and ours was just waking up. After everything we uncovered, the weight on Clara's shoulders finally began to lift. The truth about Evelyn's disappearance wasn't just a family secret, it was a story of courage, resilience, and the power to face even the darkest parts of our past. By confronting those threats head-on, Clara and I didn't just protect her legacy, we honored Evelyn's fight and paved the way for healing. In the weeks that followed, the evidence we gathered helped expose the people who had tried to bury the truth for decades. It wasn't easy, there were moments of doubt and fear, but standing together gave us strength. Clara's wild spirit softened into something more grounded, and I realized that family isn't just about blood, it's about trust, honesty, and standing up for what matters. The mechanical lion in the garden, once just a strange symbol, became a reminder that even the heaviest burdens can be transformed into courage. It showed us that sometimes, the things we fear most hold the key to freedom. This story isn't just about viral videos or mysterious disappearances. It's about the complexity of family, the importance of facing our past, and finding hope in unexpected places. Life isn't perfect, but with honesty and courage, we can write our own endings. Did you enjoy this story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you.